Hello everyone, and welcome back to Top 10 Trends. What with it being hurricane season and all, I decided to put things in perspective. Hurricanes are a natural force. If you don't like them, don't live near water because you can't stop them, at least not yet. Hurricanes are probably one of the strongest forces of nature known to man, at least the strongest one that's also the most common. They have winds well over 150 miles an hour, and some, like Hurricane Irma, which at the time of this recording may have destroyed all of Florida, is larger than the entire state of Ohio. You ever had to drive through Ohio? These are the top 10 hurricanes you're glad if you're nowhere near. Stay safe out there, friends. Number 10, Hurricane Andrew. Hurricane Andrew was a Category 5 Atlantic hurricane that struck the Bahamas and Florida in mid-August of 1992. The most destructive hurricane to ever hit the state, although once these totals are tallied from Irma, we might have a new winner. It was the strongest in decades and the costliest hurricane to make landfall anywhere in the United States until it was surpassed in 2005. Andrew caused major damage in the Bahamas and Louisiana, but the greatest impact was felt in South Florida, with sustained wind speeds as high as 165 miles per hour. Passing directly through Dade County, it stripped many homes of everything but their concrete foundations. It destroyed over 60,000 houses, damaging 100,000 others, and causing $26 billion in damage and leaving 65 poor people dead. All in all, Hurricane Andrew lasted about 12 days, and it reached wind speeds of over 175 miles an hour. Number 9. Hurricane Hugo. Hurricane Hugo was a powerful Cape Verde hurricane that caused widespread damage and loss of life in the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and southeastern United States. It formed over the eastern Atlantic near the Cape Verde Islands on September 9, 1989. It moved thousands of miles across the Atlantic, strengthening rapidly to attain a Category 5 hurricane status. It later crossed over Guadalupe and then over Puerto Rico, decreasing to a Category 3 hurricane. Re-strengthening to a Category 4, it made landfall slightly north of Charleston with 140 mile per hour winds. As of 2016, Hurricane Hugo is the most intense tropical cyclone to strike the east coast north of Florida since 1900. Hurricane Hugo caused a total of 107 casualties and left nearly 100,000 people homeless and caused about $10 billion of damage in 1989. At the time, it was the most damaging storm to ever hit the United States. Number 8, Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy is unofficially referred to as Superstorm Sandy and was the deadliest and most destructive hurricane of the 2012 hurricane season. It was the second costliest hurricane in United States history. Sandy was a Category 3 storm at its peak when it made landfall in Cuba. It was a Category 2 when it reached the coast of the northeastern United States. It became the largest Atlantic hurricane on record, with a diameter of 1,100 miles wide. Estimates as of 2015 assess damage to have been around $75 billion. At least 233 people were killed along the path of the storm in 8 different countries. In Jamaica, winds left 70% of residents without electricity, blew roofs off of buildings, and killed one person, causing about $100 million in damage. Sandy's outer bands killed 54 people in Haiti and caused food shortages, leaving 200,000 people homeless. Number 7, Hurricane Camille. Hurricane Camille was the second most intense tropical cyclone to ever strike the United States. It was the most intense storm of 1969. Camille formed as a tropical depression on August 14th, south of Cuba. It quickly strengthened into a Category 2 before striking the western part of the nation on August 15th. It rapidly grew again, becoming a Category 5 hurricane as it moved towards the Louisiana region. It was a Category 5 when it made landfall in Waveland, Mississippi. As Camille pushed inland, it was quickly weakened and was a tropical depression by the time it was over the Ohio Valley. Camille caused tremendous damage in its wake and produced a peak official storm surge of 24 feet. The hurricane flattened nearly everything along the coast of Mississippi and caused additional flooding and deaths inland while crossing the Appalachian Mountains. In total, Camille killed 259 people and caused $1.5 billion in damages, which is $10 billion today. Today, no one knows exactly how and why Camille strengthened so rapidly, and it has not yet again been achieved. Number 6, Hurricane Gilbert. Hurricane Gilbert was an incredibly powerful tropical cyclone that formed in 1988. It peaked at Category 5 strength and brought widespread destruction to the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. It was the most intense hurricane ever observed in the Atlantic Basin, until 2005 that is. Gilbert was also one of the largest tropical cyclones ever observed in the Atlantic Basin. Gilbert was the most intense tropical cyclone in recorded history to strike Mexico. Gilbert developed from a tropical wave on September 8th, 400 miles east of Barbados. Gilbert steadily strengthened as it tracked northwestward into the Caribbean Sea. On September 10th, Gilbert rapidly intensified into a Category 3 hurricane. After striking Jamaica, rapid intensification occurred once again, and the storm became a Category 5 hurricane. On September 13th, Gilbert wrought havoc in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico for 9 days. It killed 318 people and caused about $19 billion in damages. As a result of the extensive damage caused by Gilbert, the World Meteorological Organization retired the name in the spring of 1989. It was replaced with Gordon. Number 5, the 1935 Labor Day Hurricane. The 1935 Labor Day hurricane was the most intense hurricane to make landfall in the United States on record. It occurred, obviously, in the 1935 Atlantic hurricane season. The Labor Day hurricane was the first of 3 Category 5 hurricanes to strike the United States that intensely during the 20th century, the other 2 being Hurricane Camille and Hurricane Andrew. After forming as a weak tropical storm east of the Bahamas, it proceeded westward and became a hurricane on September 1st. The compact and intense hurricane caused extreme damage in the upper Florida Keys, as a storm surge of approximately 20 feet swept over the low-lying islands. The hurricane's strong winds and the surge destroyed nearly all the structures it came across. The town of Isla Morada was obliterated. Portions of the Key West extension of the Florida East Coast Railway were severely damaged and destroyed. The wind speeds got up to 185 miles per hour, and there were about 423 casualties. The financial damage is unestimated, but I can assume it's a lot. Number 4. Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina was extremely destructive. It was the costliest natural disaster and one of the 5 deadliest hurricanes in the history of the United States. The storm originated over the Bahamas on August 23rd. The cyclone headed westward towards Florida and strengthened into a hurricane only 2 hours before making landfall. The storm strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, but weakened before making its second landfall as a Category 3 in southeast Louisiana. The storm caused severe destruction along the Gulf Coast from central Florida to Texas, much of it due to the storm surge and levee failure. Severe property damage occurred in coastal areas, such as Mississippi beachfront, where boats and casino barges rammed buildings, pushing cars and houses inland. Water reached up to 12 miles away from the beach. At least 1,245 people died in the hurricane and subsequent floods, making it one of the deadliest United States hurricanes. Total property damage was estimated at $108 billion. Over 50 breaches in the New Orleans hurricane surge protection were the cause of the majority of the death and destruction during Katrina. 80% of the city and large tracts of neighboring parishes became flooded, and the floodwaters lingered for weeks. Number 3. The 1900 Galveston Hurricane. The Great Galveston Hurricane, as it would come to be known, was a Category 4 storm with winds of up to 145 miles an hour. That doesn't sound so bad, but it killed 6,000 to 12,000 people, making it the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history. The people of Galveston felt no alarm until the official hurricane warning of the day before. The next morning, a storm surge of 15 feet washed over the long, flat island city, which was only 8 feet above sea level, knocking buildings off their foundations and destroying over 3,600 homes. The disaster ended the golden era of Galveston, as the hurricane alarmed potential investors who turned to Houston instead. The whole island of Galveston was subsequently raised by 17 feet and a 10-mile seawall erected. Number 2. The 1926 Miami Hurricane. A large and intense tropical cyclone that devastated the greater Miami area and caused extensive damage in the Bahamas and the U.S. Gulf Coast. The total for the storm was $105 million, which is equivalent to $7.2 billion today. The hurricane represented an early start to the Great Depression. Upwards of 539 people are said to have died as a result of this hurricane, and the winds reached over 150 miles an hour. The hurricane reached a strength of Category 4 and caused immense destruction throughout the islands across southern Florida. The storm destroyed hundreds of structures in its path over the islands, leaving thousands of residents homeless. Many more deaths occurred near Lake Okeechobee, where a large storm surge breached muck dikes and drowned hundreds of people. And number 1, Hurricane Mitch. Hurricane Mitch was the second deadliest hurricane on record. Represent No, Hurricane Mitch isn't where I baited idiots into whining by saying pandas should go extinct. But if you haven't checked that out, you should. It's in the video Top 10 Animals You Didn't Know Are Almost Extinct. Go check out those comments and laugh at the morons. No, Hurricane Mitch formed in the Western Caribbean Sea on October 22nd, 1998, and it rapidly strengthened to peak Category 5 status, as it should have. Hurricane Mitch unfortunately caused over 11,000 casualties and did $6.2 billion in damages. It affected Central America, Honduras, Nicaragua, the Yucatan Peninsula, South Florida, and Jamaica. Most of the damage was due to its slow motion. It dropped historic amounts of rainfall in Honduras, Guatemala, and Nicaragua, with unofficial reports of up to 75 inches of rain. The deaths were due mostly to catastrophic flooding. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're near a hurricane, try and stay safe. Apparently stay away from flooding areas. What's your favorite type of natural disaster? I'm gonna have to go with Hurricane Mitch. Sorry to everyone who died. That's unfortunate. If you guys want to see more content, please subscribe, and I hope you're having a great day. A hurricane-free day. Bye-bye.